everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to do a bit of I say a colouring chat, but I'm not colouring, I'm painting. Bit of a paint with me today where we just have a chat and catch up. So I thought I'd start a new bookmark. So this time I'm going to paint some forget-me-nots. So I had a request a few weeks ago from my own mum, believe it or not, to do some forget-me-nots flowers, so I'm going to do that today. So I'm just going to grab my pencil first because I like to roughly sketch out where I want the florals to go. So should we bring this down a little bit? If you can hear noise outside, I've got my window open today. It's a lovely day, but it can get quite noisy, I'm not going to lie. So I think I'm going to do these sort of smalls. We've got like patterns, quite a few of these florals all over. I think I'll start with one up here, but we'll start with the centre of the floral. So I'm just going to start with a small circle. Now you might barely be able to see that, but we've just got a little small circle there. And then around it I'm going to put 5 little petals. Now I'm not the best at drawing flowers, I have to tell you, but I'm just going to roughly do about 5 little petals around here. Doesn't have to be perfect, she says. I don't like that big one there though. I'm just going to erase that big lump what's like just sticking out very unnaturally. So this isn't the full part of the flower, this is like the middle bit of the floral, and then we've got other bits. So in between each of these bits we've got like a sticky out triangle bit. Just gonna pop that in there. This will look miles better when it's painted, trust me. They always look a bit rough and ready when you're first doing it. I'm going to redo this bit there. But they always look a bit rough and ready when you're getting your initial sketching. That's why it goes in pencil. Yeah, that's why we do it in pencil. So we've got, I know we're a bit far away, we've got a circle in the middle, then we've got 5 little petals, then we've got some little like triangular shapes in between each petal. And now I'm going to put my biggest petals in. Should I bring it down a little bit? I just don't want my hand to go blurry when I'm doing it because this always happens to me. So the next part we're going to come in, I'll start off just after this little triangle bit and bring it this way. So we'll start somewhere up here and then kind of go around there. This time it's got a little dip in the middle, so the petal goes down and then it comes up again, and then we're going to drop this back down before this next triangular petal. So we're going to go something like that. Don't ask. Something like that, and we're going to do obviously more of these. So there is going to be a tiny gap. You see it's going blurry. Why is it going blurry? There is going to be a tiny gap in between this petal, so I'm not going to start from here and pull it out. I'm going to leave a gap, so I'm going to start from sort of here, so you can see there's a gap in between, and I'm going to pull it that way, and then I'm going to pull it this way. Now this one is going to go off the edge of the page, so we're going to go as if, just guide your hand around as if you're guiding in your mind, and in where it would go and where it would come out. So you'd sort of come out around here with the second bit, and then we're going to drop it back down before this next triangular bit, so it's going to be around that area. They're like little heart shapes, these petals, around the outside a little bit, aren't they? Do you think? I'm going to do this one up here next. So again, we're going to leave a little gap in between the florals there, and I'm going to go around here. I'm going to put that first little dip in to my petal there, and then we're going to come around and I'm going to drop this down. Which petal are we on here? I've got confused. Oh, it's that one, isn't it? I'm going to drop this down around here, around this anyway, because we need to fit 2 more in here yet. I was getting a bit greedy with the size of it then, I think. Honestly, this will look better when it's painted, I swear. So we're going to start our next one around there. Going to bring it this way, like that, and around there, something like that, and then we'll get our next little part. I might bring that out a bit wider. and sort of have it there instead. Just get rid of that line so it doesn't confuse me. So I'm always I change my mind a lot. Let's get that back in, triangle. So now we've got our last little petal. I'm going to start from this side, so we're making that little gap there, slowly bringing it around, make that little gap, and then we'll pull it down that way. Just going to round that off a bit better. There, and that's one of our little flowers. So I'm going to continue to do that. Got all sorts of pencil dust, so I'm probably going to fit. I'm just wondering, because I don't want all the florals to be fully on. I like some to come from the corner, so we might have, it keeps going out of frame, this might be a bit too close. Yeah, let me lift it up. It's just going to keep going blurry otherwise. Focus camera today, focus. So I like some to come off from the edges a little bit sometimes, so I think I'll do that with a couple of the petals over this side, so that we'll have just a few. So say this one's coming out here, and then we've got that little dip, and then we'll have it as though there's one little flower that's off over here somewhere, off the edge of the page. It's off over there. So I like to do that. And then I think if I have one, because that was to the left, if I have one sort of more what's the word, central, so if I do another around here maybe, so if we start with the very middle circle here again, and then we do a 5 little rounded petals, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in between them we do our little triangles, just there, and then we move on to our bigger petals. I apologise for this camera today. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's quite irritating, I'll be honest. So I'm going to start here with this petal, bring it up there, like our little heart-shaped little thing. Then go down like that, and then we start the next one here. That is a heart shape and a half, that one. Go up here. Start a new one. I think I might have this one overlapping that one. So if I sort of bring this petal out a little bit like that, this one's going to be quite a big one on this side, I think. And then have it so it's like that. So that one's overlapping that little petal there, what I just done. So again, I think it makes it quite endearing if you make the petals different in different shapes as well. So you might think, oh, that's a bit of a big petal down there, but it makes it, you know, I like it like that. I like the difference in them. So I think now I'm going to have something hanging off this side of the page here, maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit here. So maybe put 2 petals on here this time. So maybe have like one sticking out here like that, and then maybe the next one that's coming at the side of it. That's a bit of a dodgy shape, isn't it? What are you doing, Trista? I know I said I like them different, but more rounded, more rounded. That still needs a bit more rounded, come on. See why I do things in pencil first. You know it. You know it. That's why. Right, so that's our next one. And then I think having one that's more to the right hand side maybe. So it's going off on this side a bit, but we've still got the centre of the flower. So maybe start the centre of the flower around here. Maybe that might be good. Or maybe a little bit lower actually, because we're going to be going into that one. Let me do it. It was a good placement to the right hand side, but it needs to be lower down, I think. So where did I have it there? So if I come about here instead, about there, and then we do our 5 little petals around. Then our triangle shapes. And then we start with our little petals. So start over here. And look, this one's gonna go off the page. So draw it as if we're following it through, and then it will come back down around here. And then this one will go off the page there, we'd go round, and then we'd go round, we'd come out here, we'd go about there, and then this one's gonna overlap it. So again, come sort of around here, take that around there, just let me erase that little bit there. Like that. So we've got that one. So I'm just working out the bottom section now and where we might want to go with this. I think we definitely need something sticking out around here, but I want it more than just 2 little petals sticking out. I want part of the flower. So I think if I start part of the flower here, so that's the circle. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get our triangles in. There we go. And then we just do our flower here. So it's going to be going off this side of the page this time, I think. So it's going off the page. We would come around here, we'd come back down here, and be about there, I think. It's a nice one. And then one last one. There we go. And then I think maybe one petal coming from here. So maybe as if it's come out, it's going back down. That needs to go more that way. More that way. And then we'll have a floral right at the bottom here. So maybe start it right there. Put our 5 petals in. Little triangles. And then we're going to have our petals all going off this bottom corner. Almost. We'll just work off the edge there. So really we're only going to see that's going to come around here and back up here, and then that one's going to be there. So I think that's alright, isn't it? It's quite nice. Should we get some paint down now? I may as well leave this paper underneath here, but I'm going to mix some colours up to the side of it. So I have picked out some yellows for the centre. Those triangle bits are white as far as I'm aware, and then the big petals are blue. So I have just got a range of paints. I like to use the Turner acrylic gouache, and I like to use the Holbein acrylic gouache. There is not much difference between the two, and this Turner one is quite a bit cheaper than the Holbein. The only thing is you have to add a little bit more water to this one, but you kind of work out how much water you need as you learn to use your gouache. But yeah, I'm going to put some of these colours on a palette at the side of me and get mixing, and then we'll get some colours down. I'm not going to stay on for too long. I'll probably paint one of the florals or two of the florals. We'll see how quick we get them done. And just thought you might like to see the process. It's a bit of a chat for me as well at the same time. It's nice to sit in silence sometimes when you're painting, but also I quite like sometimes having a little chat. It depends what mood you're in, doesn't it? But I've just got off the phone and the weight's been lifted off my mind now with a little problem I had the other day. So that's all been sorted. Isn't it just good when you get to speak to someone and resolve something, and you just feel that weight lifted? That's what it feels like. Feels like a weight's been lifted. Anyway, there we go. I've managed to get it all over myself already. If you ever see me in painting videos, when I do the time lapses normally as well, when I do the time lapses of me painting and then I show something at the end and I'm like, I've got paint all over my hands. So I'm not sure what brushes I'm going to use today. I have a mixture of brushes. I have some of the silver black velvet, which I really like, but they can be quite pricey. And then I also have some of the Princeton Neptune brushes. I have some of the Famui brushes, which it's not got the branding on here, but that's a nice one as well, the Famui brush. So I'm just going to use a mixture and see, but I quite like, I think I'll start with the Famui brush because it's a bit more, why is this not focusing? It's got issues today, this camera. It never normally has these kind of issues, like when I'm just like clearly not doing anything at the moment. But yeah, I think we'll do the blue first. So let me try and angle the camera differently like that in case, see if that works out any better. But I've got a razor everywhere. I don't want it sticking to the paint when I start putting the paint down, so let's just move it. Right, I'm going to add some water to this paint. I've got two different colours really here, and I think I've picked one to put a bit more of a darker difference into the mix, but I don't know if I'll use it. It's looking like I might pick the wrong colour out for that now. I think I'll just whiten up a little bit of the other blue I had, just to add some highlights. So let's go for that instead. Let's add some more of that. So I'm just mixing at the side of me, guys, if you want to see what I'm doing. So I've got these blues here and I'm mixing up some lighter blues as well. So we've got that one and we've got this one here which I can mix in. So I am adding water to these a little bit, not too much. We don't want it watery like a watercolour. We still want the thick consistency. So with gouache, I like to put the darker colours down first. So I will always go in with a base of the darkest colour I want first. So I'm going to go in with this blue now and just map out some of this colour. Just really going in on the outline here. And then if we go over any of the smaller details by accident, once the blue's completely dry, we can go over the top of that. Neaten up any lines you want to neaten up as well. If you make a mistake, you can easily redo the line, make it thicker. I think my little boy's gonna get a haircut tonight. His hair's got really long all of a sudden, and it's quite hot at the minute. We're having some nice weather, so and run him into the barber's after school, get his hair cut. Or his dad can. I'll wait outside in the car. His dad can run him in and get his hair cut. I'm in charge of taking all the girls for the haircuts, that's fun. Oh, I think it'll be quite nice when it's done this. At the start I wasn't sure whether I wanted big florals or teeny tiny, but I thought, you know what, it's going to be really difficult to paint teeny tiny ones. So I'd rather go for something a bit chunkier. And then I'm not, you know, torturing myself. Don't want to torture myself. So at the end as well, you're putting all your initial colours first, starting with darker colours, then your lighter colours. You can add any shading you want to add, and then once everything's dry, you can go in with all your little details, like if you want to put any little... Why is this so blurry? I'm not liking this camera today. Sorry, I've fallen out with it. Let me lift it up and then try and zoom in on the camera instead of pulling the tripod down. But that's a bit, I don't know. Let's try that, see if that works out any better. So just why, because I don't want to go in on the middle bit, why this bit's still wet, because it's going to cause me issues. So I'm going to add some little highlights to my blue petals with some lighter blues. And you can just do little lines if you want to, and you can mix. If you find that too harsh, you can clean your brush off, get some water, and just with a clean brush that's maybe a bit wet, just soften some of it. So you're adding like texture, adding a bit of texture into some of the leaves. I don't know if you can see it, it doesn't show up very well, but there is a few little teeny tiny lines. But I don't want them to be too prominent at this stage. I really do just want a little bit of something. And you don't have to come from the middle out with the lines that you're doing. You can, let me see if I get a good angle on there. You can come from the top bit. So you can put a line from the top and pull it through to the middle, like that, if you want to do some lines going down like that. Really don't think it's picking up, but I can see it. I can see it in there, but I think once it's dry you'll be able to see it better. It's just because it's not that different in colour. I've gone a touch lighter with the paint, but not much, because I don't want it to be obvious. I want it to be like a delicate texture that I'm adding to the leaf, not a prominent line, if that makes sense. When it's all dry, it'll come to life. So I'm just going to go in on this little petal here, just while we're buying time for it all to dry up. Need to add a bit more water to that one. So who's here because they paint themselves? Who's over here because they do the colouring and they want to get into painting or see how to start with gouache? What's your reason for clicking on this video? I'm doing my own market research. What am I like? So that's that little leaf there. So I'm gonna move on to the centre in a minute. I promise. I'm just gonna give it a little second to dry. So the next colour we're gonna do on there is probably gonna be the yellow bits. So I'm gonna mix two yellows. So at the side of me I've got this one, which is permanent yellow deep, And I've pulled out this one, Yellow Ochre, just to add a little bit of depth to it if I want darkness in there. So I'm just mixing these at the side of me. You can hear my water. Splish splash. There we go, that's a nice colour. Now I might switch up to a thinner brush now, so I'm going to go for something thinner. I'm not keen on this brush because I think I had it held in water for too long, and what it's done is it's created this bend in the brush. But I can work with it, but it's created this horrible bend, and that's my own silly fault not looking after it. But I'm going to try and be careful because I do need a really thin brush, and I like this one. So I'm going to dip into my brightest yellow, which was the Permanent Yellow Deep. And I'm going to start by doing those little round petals. Let me just add a bit more water to this. Hopefully that will be okay. So these ones are quite rounded, these petals. Don't forget you have got those triangular shapes as well, which will be white, so I'm just going to leave that. I might just leave them the white of the paper, or I might just do them with a little bit of blue. Do you know, so it's like a white with a hint of blue mixed in, like a really baby blue. I'm not sure yet, but we'll do this first. Because I will have to define those triangles a bit more because we've kind of lost sight of two of them. We've lost sight of two of them. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to mix a really, really pale blue at the side of me. So I'm going to get some more white over here. Put that down. Oh, that white is just giving it all over me. It's just giving out today. What is it doing? I'm going to add the tiniest amount of blue to this white. I'll show you what it looks like on my palette. So it's this. So you can see it's really, really pale. There's a hint of blue in there, and that's what I'm going to use for those triangular shapes. So, oh, it's all over my desk now. This is what happens when you're a painter. I can't do painting without getting messy. Just doesn't happen. So rather than going on that blue straight away though, I'm just going to do the centre first. Gives that yellow time to dry, because if I go in and touch the yellow when it's still wet, it's just going to smudge everything. So I'm going to go in with the black first for the centre. Get some on my brush. And let's see. So we're just filling in that little circle shape. This brush is not loving life at the minute. It's not loving me. You know what you could have used? Let me just get this going into a circle a bit better. Could have used a dotting tool. Right, yeah, I should have waited for that yellow to dry anyway to do the black as well, because it was smudged over that bit a bit. Yeah, I'll have to go back in. I'm going to allow that to dry fully and go back in. This is the only thing about filming, because normally I would go on and do all the blue bits and then come back to that. But I was trying not to bore you with the same repetitiveness. But this is where it gets us, you see. I'm going to go in and do my little lines on this petal here with my lighter blue. So I'm just going to create some little textures. and then wash my brush off and blend that in a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna add a few more into here actually. Can you see where I've gone in with a bit of a lighter blue here on these ones now? Was I off camera then? Tell me I was off camera. Oh lordy. What am I like? Right, I'm gonna do those blue triangle bits now. So I'm gonna pop my triangles in so they're a bit more prominent so you can see them better. They do need to be a little bit porkier and taller. So I'm going in with that really, really pale blue. We'll start with the ones that we can see. Start with that one, we'll take it up a bit further. See how it's a bit more prominent there now. We'll turn you around. Take that one up to there. That's a lot better. And then we've got to figure out where these two are going. So I think one will go here. And then the other one will be just here somewhere. There we go. Clean my brush off. Now I'm going to go in with that darker ochre, that yellow ochre, and I'm going to put a bit of shadow in, a few lines over the top of the bright yellow. So I'm going to go in with a couple of really thin lines. If I can just wipe my brush off a bit so it's not too loaded. Just put a few lines in like that. Let me just go over where I've just caught that with the yellow. And I'm just going to neaten up this central bit. There we go. Now if you wanted to do any sort of like little dotting details in the black part in the centre, you could always do that, but wait for it to completely dry, because you don't want to smudge all that at all. But yeah, that's where we're going with this one. Well, the lighting's not the best, but when it dries it'll look nicer as well. And when the full thing's complete, it'll be a really nice bookmark, this one. So my mum's birthday is not until September, so I might just have to give her one. Well, she's requested it, I might just have to give her one a little bit early. What time are we on? 20 to 2. We'll start another one. We'll do another little floral. So going back in with our blue again. I've been looking at as well, should I say. Are they called wet palettes? Oh, that wasn't very good, was it? Not wet enough. Are they called wet palettes, where it keeps your paints wet so they're not ruined? So that if I like need to go out now, because I've got to do the school run soon, that's why I'm looking at the time. So say I started a painting, then I've got to do the school run, I can pop my paints in this wet palette and it will keep them moist till I come back to the painting later. Really, I should get myself one of those, because you know, I am always running errands and being to and from schools, and so it'd be really handy to have one of them actually. I've seen people make their own with a bit of kitchen towel and a Tupperware, like a Tupperware box. But yeah, we'll see. Does anybody else use one? If you're a painter, do you use a wet palette? I suppose it depends how much time you have. Do you do smaller paintings where you can get them done in one sitting, or you're in and out the house a bit like me and need to stop and start your painting? I have to go over that a few times. I've got 2 other bookmarks prepped still as well. I've had them prepped for ages and I haven't painted them yet. One's a little like a bookshelf with a plant pot on top, and one is blueberries. I keep putting the blueberry one off. I don't know why. I think I'm doubting my ability to do blueberries or something, when all I really need is blue paint. Few different shades of blue paint and I'm good to go. Do you ever do that? Talk yourself out of something and think you can't do it when you can? I know I'm capable of doing it, but it's just something in the back of my head thinking, you're gonna mess these blueberries up, Kirsty. I think it is because it's all one colour. You've got it in the back of your head that you've got to be good with the shading in your darks and lights, otherwise it will just look flat, like big round blue circles. Do you know what I mean? Like a bit with this overlapping floral now petal, I'm going to have to do some shading somewhere so that petal doesn't get, so it doesn't look like it's one big fat petal. Need some shading somewhere so that you can see that's different, but we will pop that in after, once it's all dried. I'll put that shading in. So forget-me-nots are actually the little, you know how charities have like little badges that they sell or little logos? This forget-me-not's actually a little logo of the Alzheimer's charity, isn't it? Is it the Forget-me-not Appeal? Is that what it's called? I think it is. So I'm going to let that one dry and I'm going to move on to doing these 2 petals here while that's drying. I'm just going to get all my initial colour down, I think, here. So if you are doing a bookmark like this and you're going off the edge of the paper, be careful because you might get it on the underside. of the bookmark, so I always, you know, do my strokes so they're going down and off the edge of the paper rather than coming in from this direction, because you will catch the underside if you're coming in from that direction. So I always make sure that I'm going that way and just going off the edge of the page like that. I can hear a strange barking outside. Is that a dog? It sounds very strange. I'm just gonna move all the way down and do all my petals here. What other flowers are your favourites? What would you like to see me do with a floral? Do you know what I struggle with? Roses. I don't know why. It really confuses my brain. The centre of roses confuse my brain. They're really too complicated. I think I tried to draw one once. Or was it a painting? It might have been a painting actually, and it just didn't turn out anything like it was supposed to. Let's put it that way. I'm going on the park shortly as well, because one of my daughters has got an after school club, but I still have to pick my youngest up from the same school, so rather than go home and come back out again and faff around, there's a little park by the school, so I'm going to take the youngest on the park whilst we wait for my oldest to finish her after school club, and then the dad's gonna come and meet me on the park because he finishes work at 4 o'clock, so he's gonna come and meet us, pick my daughter up, and then he's gonna go in the barber's with my son for his haircut, and then because it'll be quite late by the time we get home, we're gonna go to McDonald's for the kids' tea, so I don't need to faff around cooking too late. I'm not having McDonald's though, boo-hoo. No, I'm not that keen on it, to be honest. I am on a diet, but I'm not that keen on McDonald's. It wouldn't sway me or upset me that I couldn't have McDonald's. I prefer KFC. I would take KFC any day over McDonald's. Love KFC. I may as well continue with these flowers now. At least if my paint dries up, it won't be the bulk of the paint that I need for these. It's just the little bits of yellow for the centre that I'll need to redo. I don't like wasting paint at all though, really. That's why I was thinking of the wet palette, because it's quite expensive, the paints. Rounded off. And I always end up mixing too much to start with, so that annoys me as well. I always mix too much paint, I think, and then when I do it, as soon as I do it, I think, oh, next time I'm not going to use as much as that, and the next time comes round, my brain forgets again, and Kirsty pours too much paint out again. That's the way it is. I hope the park's not too busy though. Oh, we went to my daughter's parents' evening last night and it was so noisy. I'm not even gonna lie, I could barely hear the teacher talking to me. I don't know why it was so noisy in there. It was packed out. There were so many parents in there and kids, and the room just didn't look big enough for us all. It just didn't look big enough. And literally, I joked to my partner, I said I wish I'd have brought some ear defenders with me I feel like this is just too much noise. And then even one of the teachers said, she said, I feel like I'm having to shout at you. Like, you know, shout so I could hear her. She said, it's so noisy in here. I'm like, I know, what's the crack? It was so hot as well. Like, there was no air getting in the building. Oh, I wonder if a woman found a cat as well. The other day when I went to pick my daughter up, there was, I remember it because as soon as I got out the car to go and walk to the office to get my daughter, there was a cat right there when I opened the door, and I remember thinking, oh, that looks like an unusual cat. It had like finger markings on it, you know, like a cheetah, like those kind of markings. I don't know if a cheetah's the right animal I'm looking for. But it had some sort of like nice pretty markings on it. And then I think it was about 3 days later, I saw a post on the local Facebook group saying my cat Bengal, who likes to go out sometimes, my Bengal cat, he's not come home. Has anybody seen him, or can you be on the lookout for him? Benji, I think she called it. And I said, oh, I saw one that looked just like that, but it was like 4 nights ago now. So I told her where I'd seen him in case it's somewhere the cat likes to go, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a Bengal by the looks of it. But they normally keep cats like that indoors, don't they? Because I know what it's like with people stealing animals, and if they know they're expensive animals. I think she said it was crossed with a tabby though. I think she said it was a Bengal crossed with a tabby cat. But people steal those kind of animals, don't they? I think my Uncle John's got a Bengal. I'm sure it's a Bengal or some other indoor cat. But I'm allergic to them, so I don't touch them. I'm alright with them walking past, but if I touch them, I end up in a big itchy rash all over my face and neck. And then I get the itching, you know, the roof of the, when your roof of your mouth starts itching off. Like when you've got hay fever, that's what happens with cats. Like all the roof of my mouth starts itching off. So I think that's all I can do for now. I'm going to zoom out. Where are we? There. Let's get it off this paper while it dries off a bit. So that's all I can do on camera for now. I'm going to have to go on the school run and carry out my many errands. But what I will do is, well, we're going off the edge. What I will do is I will end this recording here, and then later on, once I've finished it, I will pop back on and just show you the completed thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this little colouring chart, seeing how I started painting, and hopefully you'll see the finished article if you stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. See you shortly. I'm back. I did all my school run. I came back and finished up this painting. So this is it. So shall we take it out the little holder so you can see the full thing? Really enjoyed painting this one. And then I've put my little hole in with this punch holder, popped a little bookmark tassel in it, and there we go. So I have put my stamp on the back as well. I have made prints of these, so I've just been having a mare printing those out, let me tell you. I'm just going to stick this back through here if I can. Slide it under, should come out the bottom. There we go, just fits nicely in there. Your little bookmark holder. So I have done prints, and they are here because I've just cut them all out. So these are the prints of them. So you can see they're quite similar. So I fiddled in Photoshop for a little bit, and I have the other Adobe app as well, where I normally do my YouTube videos on there. So I was trying to just get the colour right, because sometimes even though you've scanned it in, it doesn't print out the right colours, or some bits can be a bit blurry, so you have to go into the Photoshop and sharpen bits up. So I did have to go in and mull for quite a while with this one, so it was frustrating. But I'm going to put my little stamps on the back of these ones, so you can see how I do it if you want. It's just a little stamp I had handmade from, oh, what was the company? I'm sure it was called Get Stamping. If I can find their Instagram, I will link it in the description of this video. But these are little stamps that I have. So this is my YouTube logo. It's very mucky at the minute, and you get a little handle on there. And then I just use this VersaFine ink. You can get this one on Amazon. I do have a green one as well, but this one's black ink pad. And I just squish it on and then find right at the bottom where I want it to go, and it'll just pop it on. So I like to pop them there, and then normally I have the little bookmark holders. I put my name there as well, but I've started to think of ideas I can do for teachers' gifts. So I've started to think of paintings I could possibly do what would be nice as gifts for, you know, the end of year when everyone buys the teachers' gifts. And I thought, instead of putting my name there, I can either get a thank you stamp, or I can pop one of my thank you stickers in the centre as well, because when they come, these are off Amazon as well, but they come like that, so I could just stick a thank you sticker in the centre rather than have my my own logo. But that's something I can play around with. Just move that out of the way. But I like to put my actual logo on the bookmark, just so that people know that it's been painted by me. Well, it's a print, but you know what I mean. So that's all them done. I'm just going to leave that there for to dry. It doesn't take too long for them to dry, but I'll just pop them there a second. Now, because these ones are blue flowers, I found this really nice colour tassel here, but I've not got enough of this colour to do them all. So I've also pulled out this colour, which I think will go quite nice, and then we've got a slightly lighter blue, so we've got this blue as well. So what I always put on, these are available on my Etsy store to purchase at £3.50 each. What I do say is just that the tassel colour will vary, but it's always something complementary to the painting. I'm not going to put a bright orange or bright red tassel on something like this. It will always be quite complementary to the painting. But yeah, that's that one. I'm going to pop that out the way, and all you do to get the tassels on, really easy. So we've already made our holes. I'll have to be careful with this ink, but we've already made our little holes there. So you want to pop this through, and then you get your little loop there, and we want to put this bit through the loop and then pull it all the way through till it's pulled out, and that's it. That's another little bookmark. That was my little girl shouting. They never shout their dad, do they? Even when they know mum's busy, but there we go, that's kids for you. So I'm going to put all these tassels on here eventually, but we'll not bore you with that now. And then let me check if this is dry. Yeah, it's more or less dry that now. So we can slip this into one of the bookmark holders that we've got here. So all I do is I like to push my finger at the back there just to surprise it open a little bit, and then push down on this bit so that it opens up at the bottom, and you can sort of feed it through. Feed it through there, and when it's about there, just stop and pull it through. So these ones will be up on my Etsy store once I've took all the promo pictures of them, so that I can pop them up on the shop. So if you're interested in these, the shipping on my Etsy store is worldwide, but obviously if you live somewhere further away, it will be a bit more expensive on the shipping. But yeah, I hope you'll have one of these in your house, or other designs, because I've got a few other designs. I've got a capybara, if anybody likes capybaras. We've got capybaras, you can't quite see them for the tassel of the bookmark, but that's my capybara. They come packaged in these as well, so they're nice and safe when they arrive to you. I've got, what else have we got? Shake that down. We've got limes. We've got, oh, that's another lime. We've got lemons. And we have watermelon. Who doesn't love watermelon in this weather? So you will notice some of them are round off and some of them I keep square. It just depends on the design really and what I think looks best. But yeah, I've been really enjoying making these little bookmarks, and you know, I think they're extra special when they're handmade and hand painted, and I've absolutely loved doing them, and my daughter loves coming pinching them when I've done them as well. My youngest daughter, she's got about 20 bookmarks in her room. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the thumbs up, leave me a little comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching everyone. Bye bye.